Welcome back to the deep dive. You know that feeling when you walk away from a meeting or an argument and you're just left feeling completely baffled by why someone acted the way they did?
Yeah, totally.
Well, today we're going to try and cut through some of that confusion.
Our mission today is really to decode the operating system of human nature. We've pulled some key insights from Robert Greene's The Concise Laws of Human Nature. It's a source that provides a surprisingly practical guide to the self-mastery and empathy.
And seeing the world clearly, it can be a bit harsh sometimes, but it's effective.
Oh, definitely.
Exactly. The promise of this deep dive is to, shortcut the decades it might take to truly get why we do the things we do and why other people seem so unpredictable.
Right. And the core idea is that even though you might feel helpless in these interactions, they're actually driven by patterns, predictable elemental forces.
And it's not just about fending off manipulators, is it?
No, not at all. It's not just about people cloaking their motives in charm. It's fundamentally about managing our own inner turmoil, which is driven by these deep, primal impulses that we barely control.
So if you don't master yourself first.
You can't possibly master the social environment. It starts inside.
Okay, so let's start right there, with our own internal chaos. The law of irrationality says our emotions are built for survival, not for making, complex modern decisions.
And that's where you have to understand the brain's architecture. It's so crucial. Our emotions are rooted in the older parts of the brain, the reptilian and limbic systems.
The fight or flight stuff.
Exactly. Immediate survival. Fight, flight, or freeze. That's what they do.
And our neocortex, the part that does all the reasoning and long-term planning, that's the new kid on the block.
Precisely. And the older systems are always faster.
Hmm.
So our default setting is always an emotional reaction. The neocortex is like the slow, deliberate negotiator who shows up late to the argument.
So a rational person isn't someone without feelings.
Not at all. It's someone who has actively learned to manage that structural disconnect. They've learned to pause long enough for the negotiator to arrive.
That makes rationality sound like an active choice. Like it's exhausting work, not just a personality trait.
It is exhausting, but it's necessary. The source material says staying irrational just means you stay defensive, you stay unaware of what's really driving your failures.
So how do you do it? How do you achieve it?
Well, the material lays out a three-step process. Step one is just recognizing the biases that warp your reality. And we're not talking about abstract concepts here. These are real psychological traps.
We should probably get specific. I mean, confirmation bias alone feels like the engine of modern outrage.
Absolutely. It's seeking out information that proves what you already believe.
Yeah.
And social media just pours gasoline on that fire, right? It builds these echo chambers.
And then there's conviction bias.
Right. The idea that you feel really passionate about something, it must be true just because the feeling is so strong.
Which leads right into superiority bias, this automatic belief that, we're the good guys. Our motives are pure. Our judgment is clearer than anyone who disagrees with us.
And all of that just kills any chance for genuine learning.
Okay, so that's step one. What's two?
Step two is to beware the inflaming factors. We all have personal emotional triggers, right? Stuff from childhood, stress, group pressure. You have to know your own specific pressure points.
You have to know what sets you off.
You have to. And then step three is to implement actual strategies. This is the practical work, like consciously making yourself wait before you react.
Like the classic advice, don't fire back an angry email immediately.
Exactly. Cool the emotion, but also balance that skeptical thinking with, a real enthusiasm for new ideas. The ability to just pause is maybe the highest form of self-control.
Let's use that workplace example. You're in a heated debate with a colleague. You feel that hot spike of anger, that defensiveness.
That's your reptilian brain screaming, defend your territory, you have to be right.
Right. And the core emotional drive there isn't finding the best solution for the company. It's the need to feel smart, to feel right. That's the feeling to catch.
Because if you don't pause and see that superiority bias kicking in, you're just locked in an ego-driven standoff.
But the rational pivot is to see that need, to consciously set it aside, and then genuinely look at their idea.
That's it. You turn a fight for validation into a collaborative dialogue. That's rationality in action.
So once you start to manage your own internal chaos, the next step is realizing that everyone else is hiding that same chaos behind a mask. The sources call it the theatrical quality of human nature, that we're all actors from a young age trying to get approval.
They wear these masks, right? The mask of humility, of competence, of confidence, especially at work. And they're essential social roles, but It's often not the full story.
It can completely contradict their actual character.
Completely.
But if everyone's wearing a mask, how do you avoid just becoming a cynic? Just distrusting everyone.
That's a really important question. The goal isn't cynicism. It's accurate observation. You're looking for the tension between the performance and the reality.
And that tension shows up in their nonverbal cues, not their words.
Exactly. This is where the decoding keys come in. You have to shift your focus.
So what are we looking for? What are these keys telling us?
They reveal the true emotional state. You're looking for dislike-like cues, those tiny micro-expressions of contempt or warmth that flash across a face. You look for dominance cues, how someone holds their body, if they interrupt.
And deception cues.
Most critically, yeah. Signs of genuine tension that contradict whatever smooth message they're giving you. Like a slight hardening around the eyes when they say how thrilled they are about your success.
That focus on consistent long-term behavior, that leads right into the law of compulsive behavior, determining someone's character.
And the warning there is don't be swayed by charm or reputation.
Right.
Character is the real measure. It's ingrained, it's formed early, and it reveals itself in their actions over time, especially when they're under pressure.
So a crisis will show you who they really are.
It reveals their compulsive responses. The patterns they are basically destined to repeat, no matter how polished their mask is today.
So watching how they handle a defeat, or how they react when someone questions them, that tells you more than years of smooth talk.
1,000 times more.
So we need to know what to look for. What are some of these toxic types the sources warn us about?
Okay, let's highlight 3 really disruptive ones.
Yeah.
First, the hyper-perfectionist.
I think we've all met one of these.
For sure. This person over-controls everything, every detail. And it comes from a deep fear of failure and dependency issues. It's not about quality, it's about anxiety.
And the practical cost of that.
Total paralysis for the team. Burnout. They can't delegate, they micromanage, and their fear just freezes everything.
Okay, who's next?
The drama magnet. This is the person who is constantly creating personal turmoil to get attention. They're always the victim, always caught in some chaos that, they actually created themselves.
That just sucks all the energy out of a room.
It's an emotional vortex. And finally, the big talker.
Grand ideas, visionary schemes.
But they chronically fail to produce any results. They mistake planning for actually doing the work.
And when things go wrong?
It's never their fault. They immediately blame the market, the supply chain, their team, anyone but themselves. Recognizing these patterns early is the key. It's the shortcut to avoiding so much damage.
That idea of performance versus character, it brings us to one of the most powerful laws, I think, confronting the shadow.
Yes.
We're usually told to, eliminate our flaws, but the source says denying our dark side is what actually makes us weak.
Exactly. The shadow is all those repressed qualities we deny in ourselves. The aggressive, the selfish, the unconventional traits. And the problem isn't that this side exists.
It's that when we deny it, it gets twisted.
It gets twisted, it operates in secret, it comes out as manipulation, hypocrisy, or just irrational anger at other people. But integrating it, that enhances your authenticity, your creative energy.
I love that idea, that it's a path to creativity, not destruction. You're harnessing power.
That was locked away, yeah.
So the sources give a 4-step process for this.
Right. Step 1, see the shadow. And the way you do that is by watching your own disproportionate emotional reactions. If someone else's boldness makes you furious, it's often a sign.
A sign that they're expressing something you've denied in yourself.
Precisely. That fury is a signal of projection. It's a map.
So you can use your own irritation as a diagnostic tool. That's brilliant.
It really is. Step 2 is bring it into the light. And this takes ruthless honesty. You have to reflect on your past, even your childhood, and see where those darker traits showed up.
You have to map the territory.
And then step 3 is to embrace the shadow. Accept it. See that raw, untamed energy as a potential source of power, the drive to persist, the ability to say no.
And finally, step 4, show the shadow.
This is the conscious, assertive expression of those traits when it's appropriate. It's like an exorcism. It lets you be genuinely assertive instead of having all this resentment boiling under the surface.
But how do you do that without just becoming, a jerk?
That's the key question. It's about channeling. You channel that inherent aggression, which the law calls out as the hostility behind the friendly facade.
You channel it into productive ambition.
Into persistence, into a goal, rather than letting it turn into masked envy or resentment aimed at other people. You use the fire to build, not to burn down your neighbor's house.
And when you're looking at others, that hostility is almost always masked.
Almost always, especially by friendliness. You have to watch for the subtle cues.
Like what? What are we looking for?
Look out for poisonous praise, that backhanded compliment that's designed to deflate you while sounding supportive.
Great job on the presentation. I mean, for someone with your limited experience, it was really quite good.
That's the one. Or backbiting gossip as a low-risk outlet for resentment. If they gossip to you, you have to know they will gossip about you.
It's a guarantee.
Mastering your own shadow gives you the clarity to see this passive aggression in others and just not take it personally.
So the ultimate application of all this, the self-mastery, the social mastery, it's about strategic vision. And that brings us to the law of short-sightedness.
And this is maybe the most critical one for modern life, which feels like it's engineered to keep us reacting moment to moment.
That's the core tension, isn't it? We're just drawn to immediate things, the current trend, the breaking news alert.
The person standing right in front of us.
Right. This proximity bias makes us ignore the long term, the bigger picture. The sources call time the greatest teacher of them all.
But it's so hard because reacting to a crisis or checking the news, it feels productive. You feel heroic, or at least informed.
But the material warns this leads to 4 crippling traps.
The first is tactical hell. This is where you're just constantly mired in petty disputes and immediate deadlines. You're always fighting fires instead of building a structure that would prevent them.
Second is ticker tape fever.
The obsession with the immediate news cycle, market fluctuations, social media noise. If you're reacting to every tiny dip and peak, your whole perception of reality gets warped. You mistake noise for signal.
It's like trying to navigate a city by only looking at your phone.
That's a great way to put it. You're great at the microturns, but you have no idea where you're actually going.
And the last 2 are lost in trivia, drowning in details until you forget the main goal, and crisis addiction.
That impulsive reaction to every problem without any deep, unhurried thought.
So how do you become the far-sighted human?
You have to cultivate a deeper relationship with time. Create mental distance. Instead of seeing time as an enemy that's ticking down, you embrace aging. You embrace past experiences as allies that enrich your view.
So what's a practical strategy for that? You can't just hope you'll become more patient.
No, you need systems that force you to elevate your perspective. So instead of reviewing major goals weekly, you adopt a quarterly or even a yearly review cycle.
That forces you to step back.
It forces you to look for patterns, to find the root causes of failure, and to see the whole landscape. You replace that frantic, moment-to-moment panic with the calm, strategic calculation of a long-term thinker.
And this is where it gets really interesting. You use the urgency of life's impermanence to motivate real action.
Right. This bigger view helps you see which battles are actually worth fighting now and which are just noise.
No.
So what this deep dive is really laid out is a kind of journey, a pathway to existential competency.
That's a great term for it.
It starts with that rigorous internal discipline, getting rational by mastering your emotional biases. Then it moves outward to social clarity, reading people's true character under the masks.
And finally, it ascends to strategic wisdom, adopting that far-sighted view that uses time and patience as tools.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? These laws aren't about learning tricks to control other people. They're about gaining internal knowledge and freedom.
Freedom from being a passive victim of your own impulses or of other people's manipulations. Freedom really begins with accurate perception.
And I think the ultimate conclusion of all this brings us to the very last law in the source material, the law of death denial.
Or, as it's put, meditate on our common mortality.
Which is a really profound place to end. Most people spend their lives just actively pushing away the thought of death.
Treating it like some inconvenient theoretical problem that's way off in the future.
But the argument is that really acknowledging that death is inevitable is, paradoxically, what gives you the deepest sense of purpose.
It's what gives you urgency. The denial of death is what makes us timid. It makes us subservient, risk-averse when we're facing, what are really trivial obstacles.
Knowing how to die, as the great thinkers say, is what frees you from that servitude. It lets you live a more authentic, a more daring life.
It does. A more strategically ambitious life.
So for your final provocative thought.
If you truly accepted the impermanence of your time and were fully aware that it is finite, what single meaningful action would that urgency demand that you take today, the one you keep putting off?